Hi, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Malin Havefjell, and in this video, we're gonna see how Berit, the example company owner that we have been following in my previous videos, where we have done the annual bookkeeping, and we have also done the simplified annual report. We have followed all these different e-services that the tax agency has here in Sweden, and now it's time for us to do the last thing for this financial year, and that is to file the income tax return to the tax agency. And that we do, if I can have any suggestions here, I recommend that you do this in the e-service that the tax agency has, and that is what we're going to see in this video, how you do that. So we start by going to the tax agency's website and we sign in. And when you come there to the pages, your pages, or they call it mina sidor, my pages, you will see which dates, and in this, under this to-do list att göra, you will see what you need to file to the tax agency, and also you will see the due date. So the income tax return you need to submit to the tax agency the 2nd of May as the latest, but you can actually submit this already starting from late March, during all April, and then up until 2nd of May. If you're watching this in the year of 2025, the e-service opened the 18th of March. So then you can go there and look at the e-service and sign and submit your income tax return. If you are a little bit like me, perhaps you like also, even if you prefer to do this in the e-service, it can be good to see, okay, like get the overview of the income tax return, and also to see, okay, what does the tax agency already have about me? What are the pre-filled information? And then you can find this by going to skatter och deklarationer. That's like taxes and tax returns. And here you can find a PDF file of the income tax return. So then you can get this overview of the tax return. It might not be that easy in the e-service because there we're just working with the numbers, but using the PDF file, then you can get more like, the overview. So here you can download that if you want to. And here you can also find the link to the income tax return, the e-service. So I suggest we click on this one, and then we come to the first page of the income tax return e-service. And here we see a menu on the top. And I suggest that you follow this menu step by step. And we can also see on this first page, this menu with a little bit more information of what each headline is about on this first page. And here we can actually see that Berit, she needs to file some kind of attachment to this income tax return. So she can't submit this income tax return until she has done something more. So the tax agency wants more information. And this also means that you shouldn't look at this section right now, because here it might look like that you will receive a lot of money in return from the tax agency, but that can be because you haven't submitted all the information yet. So if you have paid any preliminary tax during the year, it now will look like you will receive all that money back. But that is not the case because you haven't told the tax agency yet about your profit in your company. So wait a little bit by looking at these numbers. So we're going to go and see, what do we need to file? What kind of attachment appendixes does the tax agency wants from us? So we click on this part. And here we can see that in Berit's case, she also had sold some shares, so she also need to file that, the K4. But now we're interested in the NE. The NE attachment, that is the one where we file all the information about our company, the sole trader, I should point out. So we click on this link, and then we come to the first page of the sole trader appendix, the NE attachment. And here we need to add the information, like the main information about your company. And I guess that you already have submitted this information when you did the simplified annual report, but now you need to add it one more time, like the first information. In the next step, we will be able to fetch the information that we already have added in the simplified annual report. In Berit's case, she had a first shorter financial year, so here she needs to add that information. And we can also see what kind of information that is mandatory, and those have this little star. So that is mandatory information. And that we can also see that you need to answer to this question: have I used the rules for a simplified annual report? And if you have done your simplified annual report in the e-service, you have used those rules. And you also need to answer the question if you have paid someone to help you with your bookkeeping. And if you only have watched my videos here on YouTube, you haven't paid anyone, so you just click no there. And then we have some more information, and here you add information if you had maybe deducted the costs in your company that has a close relationship to you as a private person. So just check your bookkeeping if there is something you need to add here. And then you click save, and we return to this the main page for the NE attachment. And now we can see that the first information is done. We can see that is clear. And now we need to go to the next step, and that is the balance report and the performance report, the profit and loss report, because we must do them step by step. So we click on this one, and then we come to this page, and here we have it. Here we have this little button there where we can fetch all the information that we already have done in our simplified annual report if we use the e-service at the tax agency. So click on that one, and then you will see all the numbers add up here on this section. So then we know, yep, everything's fine here, and we can click on save and return to the first page of the NE attachment again. And now we can see that the next step to do is the tax adjustments. So we click on that one, and we see that we have the profit from it has like transferred over here, and we can also see that we can add more information here, like tax adjustments. So if you, for example, have deducted things in your company that wasn't deductible according to the tax rules, then you add that in this part. Or if you had any income that you haven't added in your bookkeeping. So previous page was your the book kept result, so all the numbers there. But there might be some things that you haven't added in your bookkeeping that you want to add here now because you are allowed to deduct it, or you need to report this income, for example. So here you can add that information. And then we can scroll down. Of course, you see if there's anything else that you want to add, but I think if you are like in the first year you do this, I guess that the next thing that you need to do is to tick this box that you want to calculate a standard deduction for your social security fees. So this e-service will do that for you, so you don't forget to do it, because you don't want to pay tax on the fees. And here is where we sort of do that standard deduction. It's mathematical. So you just click that box, and then the e-service will help you calculate what you are allowed to deduct. And then that information, we see the new result, and that is the taxed result. So that has nothing to do with your kept result. So now we are on the tax adjustment part. And this is the numbers that we will report to the tax agency as our profit in the company in this case. So we click on save, and then we return, and now we can see that all is clear. So now we are done with our the NE attachment, and so it's if everything else is fine and okay, and you don't need to make any other changes, you can go back to the main page, and now you will see that all your attachments are clear, and you can actually now move forward and submit your income tax return. Perhaps you want to do the recalculation and see what the preliminary tax now will be, the final tax. So then you add information here. And if you have like a first longer or a first shorter financial year, you might want to tick that box here. The next step is to add contact information, and this is not mandatory, so you only add this information if you want to. If I can give you any suggestions, I suggest that if you don't feel comfortable with talking to a tax agent on the phone, don't add the information here. And then we go to the next step, and that is to submit the income tax return. And if you haven't added any contact information, they will one more time ask you, please, don't you want to add the contact information here? Again, you don't need to do that if you don't want to. And then we see the overview, the draft of all the things, the information that you have added. So double check one more time that all the information is accurate. And if it is, you tick the box up here that you have checked everything, and now you want to sign the information, sign this income tax return. And then you click on Nästa, and you will sign with your electronic ID. And when you have done that, you will receive a receipt. And you can also see up here that now your income tax return has been submitted to the tax agency. And we can also see that all the attachments was clear. And so here you can also print your income tax return if you want to have it on paper or as a PDF file. So yeah, that was all. If you still think that, oh, this was a little bit hard, you can, of course, book a meeting with me. And you do that by going to my online calendar, www.havefjall.se/kalender, spelled in Swedish. And there you can schedule a meeting, and you can share your screen, and I can guide you through these different steps if you feel unsure. I wish you good luck with your income tax return, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye bye.